In any case, one lives in justice. I never heard the contrary said.
The justice that is here evoked by no means refers to any kind of finality. It concerns only the intrinsic ontological equality of the figures of the subject. In this typology, we can nevertheless group, on the one hand, the figures of solitude, and on the other, the figures of the two. The figures of the two are the tormentor and the victim. Postures that are the consequence of a chance encounter in the dark. They are tied to one another by the extortion of speech. The tormentor requires that the victim tells the story. Always. So, and the name of that sort of relation, a tormentor which extorts to a victim a story, has for Beckett a beautiful name. It is life in Stoic love. That is the two figures of the two. And the two figures of solitude are to wander in the dark with one's bag and to be immobile because one has been abandoned. Let us observe that the journey and immobility are figures of solitude and are the results of a separation, always. When you are alone, it is because you are abandoned. And when you are alone in the dark, it is because you search a victim. So, the journey is that of a victim who abandons its tormentor, and immobility in the dark applies to the abandoned tormentor. It is clear that these figures are sexuated, but in a latent manner. Beckett does not pronounce the words man and woman, or male and female, precisely because that sort of words refer too comfortably to a structural two, which would be permanent. But the two of victim and tormentor, of their journeys and immobilities, depending as it does at the chance encounter, does not realize any pre-existing duality. In fact, the figures of solitude are sexuated according to two big existential theorems, of which Auetes plots the evidence. First theorem, only a woman travels. Second theorem, when somebody is immobile in the dark, it is a man. I leave these theorems for your meditation. What we should see is that the doctrine of the sexes, which states that wandering defines a woman, and that if you have a mortal who is immobile in the dark, it must be a man, this sexuation is by no means empirical or biological. The sexes are distributed as a result of an encounter. in which, through stoic love, the active position called the tormentors and the passive one called the victims are tied together. The sexes happen when a mortal, crawling in the dark, encounters another mortal who crawls in the dark, like everyone else. Active and passive position, tormentor and victim, however, are not the most refined account of sexuation. It's very interesting. First, the sexes happen and are not a donation or a situation. And secondly, the situation is not fundamentally the distinction between active and passive position. It's a question of another thing. In order then to come to the bottom of the matter of sexuation, we must examine Beckett's final thought for its own sake. This is a thought that establishes truth as the power of two. Truth as the power of two. In all the writings of Beckett, one feature remains unchanged. Love begins in a pure encounter, which is neither destined nor predestined except by the chance crossing of two trajectories. Prior to this meeting, there is only solitude. No two. In particular, no sexual duality exists before the encounter. Sexual difference is unthinkable except from the point of view of the encounter, as it unfolds within the process of love. There is no originary of prior difference that conditions or orients this encounter. The encounter is the power from which the two, and thus love itself, originate. This power is practically without measure. It is in particular incommensurable with the power of feeling and the sexual and desiring power of the body. This excess without measure of the encounter is asserted by Nieri, which is a personality in the novel Murphy. Murphy is written first in English in the 30s. Quotation 2 from Murphy, in French. Se rencontrer, comme moi je l'entends, cela dépasse tout ce que peut le sentiment, si puissant soit-il, et tout ce que sait le corps, quelle qu'en soit la science.
And to meet and part, in my sense, exceeds the power of feeling, however tender, and of bodily motion, however expert.
Beckett never reduces love to the amalgam of sentimentality and sexuality, endorsed by common opinion. Love, as a matter of truth and not of opinion, depends upon a pure event, an encounter whose strength radically exceeds both sentimentality and sexuality. Love offers beauty, nuance, color.